Are we live, Nicholas?
Yeah.
Are we live? Okay. So
We-
I could tell you something, right, that won't happen on this program. Right now, we are going up against. There's something else on TV at the moment that we are going up against. We will not be talking about hot button topics. Oh, I don't know why that popped up. It's late at night, folks. I'm
It is.
tired. Right. I know we got some competition on the television, but we are going to power through anyways. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all ages, Geeks Worldwide Radio and the Dork Shared Universe proudly present to you the greatest, and I mean the greatest, podcasting team in the world. He's the comic book writer, Nick Friar. I'm your friendly neighborhood backcracker, Dr. Joe. And together we are the TLDR Comic Book Club, baby. Can I tell you something, Nicholas?
What?
Benjamin Percy fucking loved that intro.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And how do we know this, everybody? Well, because we just talked to Benjamin Percy for an upcoming Friar Side Chat, and that's going to be dropping the week that you're listening to this, the week that this audio is available to you. Because of course, whenever we do what's new, that means that we have a Friar Side Chat, either that dropped right before it or is coming right afterwards. And I'll tell you right now, Benjamin Percy, we talked to him about Wolverine, Black Panther versus Predator, or Predator versus Black Panther, I should say. We talked about Ghost Rider. We talked about Wolverine. We had a fucking blast, as expected. It had been a while, so did a little bit of catching up. But man, you're right. He absolutely loved your intro because you brought it up a few times. But again, I got to remind you, like, don't fuck it up when you have other returning guests, because you are setting a very high bar for yourself, Joe, and that's a good thing. But you got to keep fucking delivering, man.
So for my other podcast with William Xavier Delaney III, TV's own Billy D, I do more of a Ric Flair type intro that I
Yes.
change up every week. So not if, but when we have DB Andry on again, I think I promised him a Flarian type intro.
You did, yes. Not to
Yeah.
be confused with the Eevee evolution, of course. Yes, I'm very, yeah, I'm very excited.
Flareon, right?
Yes,
Flareon, yeah.
either way, but I know he's got they have other stuff in the works. I'm sure we'll be checking in with him and Tim at some point down the line. But that is not the only Friar Side Chat that we have coming. Although this next one doesn't count in the same capacity as a Friar Side Chat. If you guys are active on comic book Twitter, you may have seen this already. But Negative Space Comics, they run their annual competitions. They run a couple each year, and they've done short comics competition in the last couple years. Joe and I were involved in the judging for this competition, so we had some say in the votes, in the finalists. And then on top of that, the finalists are announced on the show. That is going to be dropping next week. That is good. So that would be the 16th, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to be letting everybody. That's how the winners are. The finalists, I should say, because we don't announce the individual winner. That is how the finalists are going to find out who's going to be featured in that anthology. And that's a free comic anthology that you guys are going to be able to check out. Again, Negative Space Comics. For anybody who's a prospective writer, if you're not familiar with Negative Space Comics, I highly encourage you to check out that website and see some of the stuff, because they have another competition that's going on right now that you guys can submit for. It's a script writing one. You can hear more about that in our interview, but I know you had a good time with that, Joe, both from the talking to Nawel, who broke it down with us, the co-founder of Negative Space Comics, but also from a judging standpoint.
Yeah, it was an honor and a privilege. It really was, to think that our opinions matter, but to read such a dearth of unique stories, and just see wonderful art of all landscapes, and just it was a lot of fun, and knowing what you went through, to get your story put into comic book form. It gave me great perspective on how to judge these stories as well. So congratulations to all the finalists. You'll be able to listen to that, and I can't wait to hear who the winner is. There was definitely some very deserving people, so I can't wait to see who takes home the bacon, baby.
Yes, very excited for that. And also on the note of my own work too, I do want to mention, so people who've read Widowmaker, which was featured in Scott Snyder's.
Way to make it about you again. Jesus.
This is not about me. The Cloakroom. My artist, Naira Rodriguez, who heard me mention before. I just want to let people know because her and I are trying to work on some other stuff, but right now her commissions are open. So if you are a fan of Widowmaker, if you like her artwork, I would hit her up on Instagram, riddle __ 28, the numbers 28. Hit her up, send her a DM because I know her commissions are open. I don't know how long they'll be open for because we're working on stuff and whatnot, but she has a little bit of room. So I would hit her up, take advantage of that again on Instagram, riddle __ 28. And for any of our listeners who aren't on Instagram, maybe you can't reach her out. I have another way that I can connect you with her, but send the show a DM if you're not on Instagram. But otherwise, hit her up directly. Anyways, moving on, Joe, we got to get to the new comics that are out this week. And a quick reminder for everybody, we're doing what's new this week. Then Joe is going to be venturing into parts unknown. There will not be a what's new for the, the third week of September, but we have, like we said, we have plenty of stuff coming for you guys. We got the Negative Space Comics finalists and obviously Benjamin Percy Friar Side Chat that's going to be dropping in between.
And you can go back and listen to our September solicit.
Very much,
right?
yes, absolutely. We do more detailed breakdowns when we do what's new or when we do our mainline episode and talk about the new comics that week. But the solicit, as long as we're not inundated with interviews, we do the solicit, and that gives you guys a nice primer for everything that's coming, books that we're excited about, and helps you know. Because Lord, I don't know about you, Joe. We've talked about this before, I think, but like every time I go into the comic shop, I have stuff on my pull list, but then there are some books that maybe I'm not subscribed to, but I know like there's a cool cover coming out, and I have to like double check my phone, and it's like, oh shit, like wait a minute, is that out this week? Nope, because even though we do a full fucking episode on it, I forget the next day, like because there's just so much to keep track of.
Oh, how age has rattled your brain. Yes. Welcome.
This is why I write fucking everything down. But moving on, let's get to these actual books. From catching up standpoint, I read Flash Gordon issue 2. I really liked the first issue. The second issue was like a major step. It was really, really fucking good. I know you broke it down when we last convened, but what did you catch up on?
Daredevil issue 13, great issue. And so that was written by Saladin Ahmad, and then I caught up on nope, that's not what I caught up on. We'll call that Predator versus Black Panther issue 1. I read that, not Predatory versus Black Panther. Typing error, Joseph. I read Predator versus Black Panther issue 1 because that, of course, is written by Benjamin Percy, who we spoke to earlier, whose chat will be out soon. And I wanted to make sure we could talk about that. So from Marvel, the week of September 11th, 2024, we have The Amazing Spider-Man issue 57. We have Uncanny X-Men issue 2, Venom issue 37, Ultimate Black Panther issue 8. We have Fantastic Four issue 25, Vengeance of the Moon Knight issue 9, Star Wars issue 50, Captain America issue 13, Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider issue 5, Spider-Man Reign 2 issue 3, Venom War Carnage issue 2, Venom Separation Anxiety issue 5, Venomverse Reborn issue 4, Star Wars Inquisitors issue 3, Blood Hunters issue 2, Avengers Assemble issue 1, and then we have 2 number ones, Nicholas, that we discussed this week. One of which I read, both of which I read, I should say, none of which you read, you fucking slacker. Real Bush League shit, Nicholas, if I may be so blunt, because you missed out. But Wolverine issue 1, written by Saladin Ahmed, with art by Mark Cocolo. And I tell you, I said this, on the solicit, right? Man, Marvel is putting a lot of faith in Saladin, and for good reason, right? Because you never want to be the guy that replaces the guy, and Saladin right now is a guy replacing 2 guys that are at the absolute top of their game, right? Benjamin Percy with Wolverine is he replaced Chip Zdarsky on Daredevil. Excellent issue of Wolverine here. The very first panels, it's not a spoiler, it's just beautifully done. It's you get in the this sort of narration where the artwork is of wolves, and you see Wolverine in, I think, probably his truest, most happiest element, and that's in the wild hunting with wolves. He's finally found a pack, right? And then we get introduced to the big bad, and where this issue goes is absolutely bananas. It's absolutely crackers. Your blue friend makes an appearance,
Mhm.
Nicholas. You know, the
Very
one that
excited
you
for
like
that.
so much. So, Wolverine issue one, Ahmad does a great job, absolutely great job at taking over the reins of Wolverine. And then next, Nicholas, you know what we have here is Venomore
Mhm.
Wolverine issue one, written by Tony Fleeks and art by Tim Seeley, with art by Kev Walker. I have not been reading the Venom War, you know, event, but I'm reading this one because of
Mhm.
Tony and Tim, and they do a great job at sort of giving you just an overall, you know,
Nice.
view of the landscape. But this story in particular is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Like Venomized Wolverine is something that I love, and just the overall pacing, their knack for storytelling is brilliant. You know, and again, sort of playing off of what Saladin was, you know, playing off in Wolverine is this idea of like just where Wolverine goes, there's just always destruction. He's a man who he just trouble and shit always finds him, and all he thinks he wants is quiet and solitude, but he knows deep down that he is really there for a bigger purpose. And where this story goes, how it ends, right? They knocked it out of the park. They really did. So that Venom War Wolverine issue one, if that's the only book in the Venom War, that you're reading, then yeah,
You know, they
right.
got a
It's
killer
it's worth
cover
it.
too. Killer main cover for this
Killer
issue.
covers, like
Yes.
just in
Yes.
general.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Some awesome Wolverine stuff this year. I do want to quick note: Vengeance of the Moon Knight. That was the final issue of that series. And then we have more Moon Knight coming from Jed McKay. Very excited to see this story continue. I've said it before. I'm going to talk about Moon Knight and Jed McKay's work on the character at some point on the show. It's still going, so there's a part of me that like kind of wants to just roll with that. But we'll see after spooky season. Maybe I'll reassess and move things up. But awesome stuff with Wolverine this week. We move over to DC. We got Green Lantern issue 15, Batman and Robin issue 13, Shazam issue 15, Absolute Power Task Force 7 issue 6, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age issue 4, Death in the Family, Robin Lives issue 3, Batman 89 Echoes issue 4, DC versus Vampires World War V issue 2, Outsiders issue 11, and then to round things out, Wayne Family Adventures issue 129.
Gotcha. All right. So from Boom Studios, we have Profane issue 4. This was an excellent issue of the series. Maybe the best issue yet of the series. Red Before Black issue 2, which is a title you are reading.
Mm-hmm.
Garfield issue 2, which is a title my daughter is reading. The
Actually,
Armory Wars. Yeah.
oh, you did say that. Yeah, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. The Armory Wars, Good Apollo, I'm Burning, Star 4, Volume 2, Issue 5. I don't want to tell people how to do their job, and I love y'all at Boom Studios. Tighten up that fucking title. That is way too long.
That's a lot. Yeah,
Way too long.
yeah.
Holy get rid of some of those. You got Roman numerals, you got volumes, you've got it's a bit much.
I'm Ron
Uh,
Burgundy.
it's a
Um,
bit.
From Dark Horse, we have The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, issue 12, Into the Unbeing, issue 4, two books that you are reading, Masters of the Universe Revolution, issue 4, Prodigy, Slaves of Mars, issue 2, that's written there twice, Guilt Frame, issue 2, Minstrel Melodies, issue 1, Summer Shadows, issue 1, and then you wanted to break down The Witcher Corvo Blanco issue 4.
Yeah, before I get to that though, double check these, right? Because what League of Comic Geeks tells us and what we get in our review copies here is a little bit different. And I
Okay.
don't know if Guilt Frame was a review copy that we
You know
got
what? It wasn't. It definitely
this week.
wasn't in there. Yes.
So I don't know if that one is coming out. But with that said, The Witcher, Corvo Bianco, Nicholas, did you read?
I did not. I'm actually behind on Corvo Blanco.
Oh, it's Jesus, Nicholas. Come on. Excellent. Excellent. I love Bartosz Stibber and his work on The Witcher. Each story that he's told has been unique, each with a different artist. So the art really does aid and sort of enhance that particular story. And so, with Corvo Bianco,
Blanco.
Blanco, sorry, Corvo Blanco. Like the pacing of this series has been a little bit slower than some of the other ones, but I gotta tell you, this issue here, nonstop. Like
Mm.
the action is on, right? And I feel like most Witcher stories have been 4-issue stories. This one, I believe, is 5, right?
I think
Are
it's
they have
been.
they all been
I
5?
think you're right that there's definitely been fours. I don't know if they've all
Yeah.
been fours. I feel like you're right though. That
Right. So
yeah.
this one's a 5 issue. This one needs to be 5 issues. I love this issue. We get some great action. We get some great reveals. And that's what I love about Witcher stories is that there's a great mythology there. There's a great weaving. Sort of you're going left, you're going right, you're going up, you're going down, and then when the story all comes together, it's just fantastic. We get that with this particular issue here of The Witcher. So absolutely am loving Witcher Corvo Blanco.
Yeah, what's funny is you corrected me on it previously about the
I did.
Blanco, and I think, but yeah, Bartosz is obviously killing. It's been a while. Speaking of people we haven't touched base with in a while, we haven't talked with Bartosz in a little bit. But I digress. What do we have from IDW this week, Joe?
We have Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2, issue 5. We have TMNT Sourcebook issue 4. These are like encyclopedias for the
Mm,
Ninja Turtle world, which are excellent.
nice.
We have Godzilla Here There Be Dragons 2, Son of Giants 3. We have My Little Pony Maritime Mysteries issue 4, but the big one this week, Nicholas, the biggie, oh boy,
Hmm.
is a TMNT issue 2.
Can't say I've
With
heard of it. Yeah, it's written by Jason Aaron. Art on this issue is by Raphael Albuquerque, and Mikey is at the center of this one. And so I love Raph. I've always loved Raph, but I feel like Raph is like the most popular one. If I'm like Turtle, if I'm not mistaken, I always thought Mikey was as a kid. I know he's number 2, and I imagine that's why we're seeing him at number 2. But he was always my favorite. He was always my dude. Like I absolutely love Michelangelo, and we see him as a TV star in Japan here, and it fits so fucking well, and it's so good. And the biggest thing for me is not just how like this is a great idea and I had a lot of fun with this issue, like the narration that we get from Michelangelo here is top notch.
Mhm.
And part of that like is bringing a lot of the comedy, which is great. That's important for the character, but we also especially in the fight sequence that we get some really heavy hitting stuff from Michelangelo and like him talking about himself to the reader, and it is so powerful, man. I
Mhm.
really I didn't expect that. Like Mikey's the one that's like, oh, it's fun loving and everything. And obviously there's been a lot of serious stuff with Mikey over recent years. Like obviously Last Ronin is the biggest one, spoiler alert. But this like hits I did not expect this to hit me in the way that it did. I didn't expect Jason Aaron to go there, but he very much did. And I loved TMNT issue 2.
So we got an interesting take on Donatello in the Alpha, and
Yeah.
we got a really gritty take on Raphael in the first issue. So Michelangelo, right? Like how you wondering how it's going to be done, and you alluded to it, right? He's a TV star. He's gone Hollywood, right? And so with that comes what you'd expect. He's not as dedicated to his martial arts as he was, because he's always just sort of constantly like he's acting it now, right? He's made his Bruce Lee transition, if you will, right? He's gone from being full on martial artist to now Hollywood martial artist. And what I
Hmm.
love about this is that he's his reflexes are a little slower now. He's let himself go a little bit, if you will. He's sort of just become that prototypical, stereotypical, you know, just yeah, I'm gonna get by on my celebrity and not give it 110%, and then we see how that kind of comes back to bite him in the ass, but how he's able to kind of snap back to his old self. I loved this take, and I can't wait to see Leo's. And then I can't wait to see the full issue, for Donnie. This has just been such a great start to the new era of the Turtles.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you've been sitting on the sidelines when it comes to reading TMNT, great time to get back in the mix. These first two issues have been absolutely lights out. Moving on, we get over to Mad Cave, and then finally, we've been talking about this book for a long ass time. We've been telling people about this for a while because we talked with Zach Kaplan on the show. He is the writer of Dark Empty Void. Issue 1 of that is out this week over at Mad Cave. The artist on this series is Chris Sheehan, who is someone we've talked about quite a bit, of course, before. The big introduction for us to Chris Sheehan was the Autumnal, which obviously is a wild series. We've praised this a ton. Listen to the Friar Side Chat if you haven't already. To me, the biggest thing is like, one thing that Zach talks about in that Friar Side Chat is how this is a claustrophobic book. You have cited that previously. This is a sci-fi story centered around black holes. And the other big thing is, if you're not familiar with Zach as a writer, and even if you are, you're still going to appreciate this, but if you're not, that you get a really good idea of the quality of writer that you're dealing with in the first few pages, because there's a thing that he does that caught us both off guard, and it was just like so perfectly done. And it's like, this is what, like, we already know Zach's a good writer, but it felt like it was, I don't know about you, but I felt like it was a little bit of a leveling up for him.
Yeah, so good, so good. That's the only way I can really describe it. And I've mentioned it before, right? We're getting to that time of the year. We got to start, making our lists for the floppies. And you're going to see Zach Kaplan's name mentioned, no doubt, for creator of the year, book of the year, all that kind of stuff. He's had a tremendous 2024, and this book it's beautiful, it's vibrant, it's depressing as well, right?
Yeah.
It's dealing with some pretty intense themes. There's a lot of allegories there, black hole and depression, and just and an emptiness as well, right? So this was a brilliant first issue that I think moves at a really good pace, and then moves at a breakneck pace, especially with the ending. And it does what we want our comic books to do. It
Absolutely
stinks its teeth into you. It pulls you in. Zach, if you're listening, I would very much love the second issue. So I can read it and love it and pat it and love it. It's
okay. And then I killed it. Oh, that's what I do to a sale. Anyways,
yeah.
that is
That's what you do to my odds. That's what you do to my odds of getting the second issue of that book now.
Oh, sorry. Zach's probably a Tommy Boy fan. Let's come on. Anyways, so yes, so obviously Dark Empty Void, outstanding. Go check that out. Again, from Mad Cave as well. We got Gotcha Man issue 3 and Galaxy of Madness issue 3 that are also out this week. Then we move over to Dynamite. I'll take us through these next couple, Joe. Dynamite, we got Space Ghost issue 5, Johnny Quest issue 2, Cruella de Vil issue 5, Vampirella issue 672, and then we got Red Sonja, Death and the Devil issue 1, and then from Distillery, a book that you have dibs on by Chip Zdarsky and David Brothers, and Marcus Toe is the artist on this, Time Waits issue 1, and then of course that brings us to Image.
Oh, man, they've been pretty good about giving us Transformers review copies lately. We didn't get this one. I'm bummed out about it. I gotta wait with the regular normies to walk into my local comic book shop and buy it. But no, seriously, Transformers issue 12, The Department of Truth issue 25. Did you read this one yet, Nicholas?
No, I'm almost caught up in full.
Yeah. It's gonna knock your socks off.
Okay.
Geiger issue 6, The Scorched issue 33, The Domain issue. Did you read The Domain? Did you read anything this week?
I've already broken down 2 books in great detail. We were okay. You've picked and prodded too much. We originally were not doing what's new because of scheduling stuff. So I was not prepared to do this originally, and then I went and
I found a way to read. As
have I. I've broken down the amount of books that I plan to break down. I have one more to talk about. I actually have another I can talk about. I'm surprised you didn't read
3 books out of all of these. Come on, Nicholas, you're better than that. I hold you to a higher standard.
I'm gonna kill you. Oh God.
The Domain was excellent. When you read The Domain, you're gonna love the end. We talked about this the last issue, right? Where the 3 domains, they have these powers, and there's two characters that are clearly having a hard time dealing with it. One of those characters really fucks things up. It's excellent. You're going to enjoy it. Misery issue 4, Precious Metal issue 4, Dead Eyes, The Empty Frames issue 1, and
You
then
didn't read that?
No, because it's like a continuation of
It's of a series that Jerry Duggan and John McCrae did.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I didn't read it. Only I had every intention of reading it, but then I was like, oh shit, I think Dead Eyes. Right, there's already stuff, so I didn't want to kind of come into it. Like I did that with Plastic, Death, and Dolls. I didn't realize that Plastic was a story, so I held off because I want to go back and read Dead Eyes before I do this. But
gotcha. Okay, yeah, I did want to let people know that it's like a second volume. It's this is set in Boston. And this story is going to be centered around the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist.
Yeah.
Which is a ton of stuff with that. So
maybe I'll just fucking read it regardless. But like I know that it's like the second part of an. So I didn't.
Yes, you can read this and not know, and you'll be fine. So that's fair on the apprehension. But yes, you were building up to allow me to touch upon Ain't No Grave.
Ain't No Grave,
which is the final issue of this Scotty Young, Jorge Corona story. I believe this is the third one that they've done together. I will be talking about this on the show in full. I've said that before.
God.
End of series, such a strong ending. And, obviously, like Jorge Corona and Scotty Young have similar art styles, and it's always fun. Like their art is always like a fun way and thing to bring you into the story. And then you see different, their style and different types of genres. It's fun. But you've said this before, Joe, that Scotty Young's like stories actually talk about something every single time. And that is so powerful. And that is what takes these stories and makes them like an interesting, fun story to definitely check out, to like, this is shit that's really going to fucking stick with you. And that is what Ain't No Grave is, in such a different way than the Me You Love in the Dark and in Middle West. And like the way this story ends, I was really impressed, and I was really blown away. And I honestly think the way that this story ends, it's so appropriate for what like the topic and the characters and everything and the stakes, but it's also just like, you don't see an ending like that every time. Like, and I can't, and I'm not going to get into that. And even when I do a breakdown on the show, I will dance around it, but it really impressed me. And for all the fun I had reading this series, that will be what sticks with me. And for those who've listened to the show long enough, no, the ending is not always the thing that sticks with me most in a series. But I was really impressed with what Scotty Young and Jorge Corona did in the final issue of Ain't No Grave.
I feel like you're emotionally working your way up to a Jeff Lemire book. Like you're almost there. You almost, I don't know if you can handle it. You still won't be able to handle it, if we're being honest, but you're working your way there, step by step.
Yeah, there. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll have to really take my time with Minor Arcana and probably not talk about it until this time next year.
I'll just talk about Royal City. I got plenty of Lemire books to talk about to keep the audience, Fish Flies, Royal City.
Good. I would love it if you talk about more Lemire books on here, because you're keeping me waiting on reading those books. But that is going to do it for us. That is a tight what's new. And again, reminder, subscribe to the shows. Like I didn't say this off the top, but we have Friar Side Chats coming. We have the conversation with Nawel where we announce the finalists. Those are only available in audio form, everybody. So if you're catching us on our streaming, make sure you subscribe to our Apple, Spotify, Geeks Worldwide Radio, Amazon, Pocket Cast, any one of our audio channels. Make sure you subscribe there, because that's the only place you're going to get our Friar Side Chats. You get our main lines, and you get what's new. You will get that in streaming form always on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram Live. But for our Friar Side Chats, the only place is going to be as audio form. So make sure you subscribe to one of those channels. Leave a rating and review, 5 stars only. Otherwise, you're going to ruin Joe's weekend. But Joe, you got anything before you head off to the Great White North? Or are you good?
Oh, I'm good, baby. I know I threw this curveball at you last minute. I was sowing my oats, but I was reading these books, and I was like, these are some good books to talk about this week. And it was mostly Wolverine and Wolverine Venom War that pushed me. I was like, we got to talk about those. And you didn't fucking read them.
That's well done, sir. That was very well done. I gotta say, like, it's I go through whenever we don't do what's new, which obviously isn't often, but like whenever we don't, it's just like fuck, man. Like, yeah, I want to talk about these books.
Yeah.
But yeah, shame on me for doing a ton of rereading, so I was prepared for Benjamin Percy. My
Oh, I
apologies.
did that too. I come on, son.
Oh, okay.
Come on, son.
Anyway,
I didn't work today, but
oh well, way to
and the
bury
kid is
your
back at
lead.
school finally.
That's right. Yes, that's right. That does make a big difference. But yeah, I think. Oh, one last reminder too. Make sure you check out. We talk about the social platforms. Make sure you're following us there because while Joe is off gallivanting in the Great White North, I will get some stuff up that's related to what's new, kind of to make sure that you guys are getting a little bit of a breakdown from us in some capacity. So that'll be up on like Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, TLDR_pod on all those platforms, and we're on YouTube.
And I might do a little saucy, walking on the beach comic review. Right?
Wow. Look at
Right?
you.
Maybe
You want people to actually subscribe to them, Joe. So
maybe
don't.
oh, come on. The Stern Bush always brings in the views, baby.
Again, I'm thinking of Step Brothers, which comes up in the Benjamin Percy Friar Side Chat, which you guys can listen to. But until next week, Joe, or next time we convene, I should say, stay sexy.
You know I will, baby. With my luscious VHS pubes going down to my ball